Our family came to the U.S. in 1980, and we settled here in the Wausau area. And we settled here for one reason, for agricultural reasons. So we were pretty much one of the first families that came here to Wausau. And at that time, my father, he was just working out in the fields, on the farms. He went to the technical school here in the area, got an associate's degree in machine tooling, and then started working in factories. That's how he got into the workforce. My mother didn't have an education. She mostly stayed home and took care of the children, us. It was very tough for her to get into the workforce because she didn't know any English. Well, that's when my father and them started talking among themselves that our wives are struggling. Maybe we ought to start a company of our own. And that's when LJ business began, and my mother became an employee of the business. The business began in 1989. At that time, it was a group of Hmong community leaders that came together. And what happened then was they wanted to form a company, form a business where we could hire Hmong people into the workforce. We had a friend here in the Wausau area that was willing to help us. He was also a businessman, and he owned a few businesses. And my father and a few Hmong leaders approached him and said, "What can you do to help us out? We like to form our own business, our own company." Well, then what this businessman did, what this friend did, he says, "If you're very serious, I have a few contacts that I can get a hold of." He went to Weinbrenner Shoe Company, which happened to be in our backyard. So he approached Weinbrenner Shoe Company. He was friends with the Weinbrenner people. He said to Weinbrenner, "I have these Hmong people. They're good at sewing. Do you have an opportunity for them to help make your products?" Weinbrenner says, "Sure, if they're willing to sew, we'll give them a chance, we'll give them an opportunity." That's how this all began. The business has grown and changed tremendously over the years. You know, back in '89, it started with only about 50 pairs of shoes per day. That was what the customer was willing to give us to do. Started off with 4 or 5 people, and then our customers brought in trainers to train these 4 or 5 people, and then we brought in more people. So through a number of people, we started to obtain quality workers. And with those quality workers, you know, they started at 50 pairs, and going up to today, we do about 500 to 600 pairs of shoes per day. We've employed many Hmong people. Many of the Hmong refugees that came into Wausau looking for jobs didn't know how to punch a time card. They didn't understand what the working hours were here in the U.S. They didn't understand vacation. They didn't understand holiday pay. We gave them a basis, and we taught them the fundamentals of a working environment. So, you know, we became a stepping stone to a lot of these Hmong people that went on to different jobs because they know what it's like in the workforce. We become a model for other Hmong businesses as well too. Sewing is a skill that a lot of Hmong people have, where they did it in Laos, and now in the U.S., you know, we've started a company now where we do contract sewing. Other businesses have looked at our entity and say, "Hey, maybe we could do something similar to that," and they've started their own business sewing and kind of mimicking or duplicating our process. The chamber, the Wausau Chamber, played a very big part back then to get this company started, and we're very thankful for that. We still think of them to this day, and we think if it wasn't for the chamber, if it wasn't for Roger Lewis, if it wasn't for Stan Staples, all this wouldn't have happened. We have a lot of people that said, "You've had your business now for 20 years. How did you do that? How did you get that far?" My father always answers them, "It's hard work, it's dedication." Just like when we were in Laos, it's hard work, it's dedication. I believe being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself is the way to go, because it's the American dream. It's something you can pass on to your children, and it's something, it's a business we all want to realize.